Hello and welcome to our Facebook Live series, Ask the Vision Loss Experts, Coping with COVID-19. My name is Dr. Tricia Grant and I'm the Senior Director of Low Vision Research at the Chicago Lighthouse.
And I'm Dr. Brian Walensky. I'm a low vision optometrist in New York City and I work with Orcam Technologies. It has been our intent during this series to discuss topics, engage people, and share information as pertains to vision loss during this time of social isolation and the COVID-19 pandemic. In our episodes, we've brought you guests. We've discussed topics that concern the whole community during this time.
And the series has been for everyone, whether you are a loved one or visually impaired or blind, or you just wanted to learn more about the experience of people who have vision loss, especially during this time.
So we want to thank everybody who's been joining us each week. This is our 12th episode and 12th week as we've been going each week. And it's been great. And as some of you found out in an email post, unfortunately, this will be our last one of these Facebook Lives on this format. We'll explain more in a little bit. We'll make some resources available to everyone. But our question of the day, like we always have it, we want to ask, what did everyone enjoy most about this series? And post-COVID, what would you like to hear of, or what other things are you into or would like to see? So, and talking about transition and changes and changing in life, we have a guest today. And Dr. Grant, you can introduce, please.
Yes, I am so pleased to introduce our guest today, Nikki Lopez. She is a special education teacher at the Chicago Lighthouse. She grew up in Southern Illinois in a rural town near St. Louis, Missouri. And Nikki started losing her eyesight at the age of 13. And at 17 years old, she was diagnosed with Stargardt disease, which is a genetic eye disorder that causes progressive central vision loss. She dropped out of high school due to a lack of support in her education, but she eventually pursued and received her GED and then went on to graduate from college with an education specialist degree. Soon after, she began teaching at the Chicago Lighthouse, and she also serves as an advocate for equality within the workspace for people who are blind and visually impaired.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, Nikki. Can you first tell us a little bit about your work and the school you're at?
Well, thank you for having me. I am a special education teacher in the Children's Development Center, which is one of the programs under the Chicago Lighthouse umbrella. We serve about 18 students currently, but are growing. We have 4 classrooms, and we serve 8 disabilities ranging from visually impaired to other health impaired, multiple disabilities, physically handicapped. So we can serve a lot of those clients, students.
And Nikki, this has been a really challenging time for you. With your teaching your students, everything went remote suddenly, and you had to figure that all out. And then on top of it, you're a mom yourself, so you had to go and teach your own children at home. So can you tell us about that experience?
Wow. So it was different. So I started out just not really knowing what and how to serve my personal classroom and then have a home classroom. So we started out with Word docs with hot links for families, and I would do daily lessons. And after about 2 weeks, the families were like, this is way too many emails. They're like, you guys are overwhelming us, because on top of just mine, they had all the therapists, all the speech pathologists, vision teachers, and every therapist that was under that child's individual plan was serving them. So I went to weekly lessons with hot links for all of the things that I wanted the students to look at that week. And on top of that, I called every week. Sometimes I call 3 times a week, whatever the student needs. And then with my, and now that has even evolved. I have 2 students from Rush Nursing School that are with me for the summer, and they are doing their capstone project. And so they have turned all of my Word doc hot links into a private YouTube channel so that our parents have one-touch learning. and we are having great success with that.
That's great. It sounds like you definitely did evolve, your lesson plans through the time, and having that one touch lesson plan, that's great.
It is.
Very
The parents are having a great time with, they can start the lesson and it goes through good morning songs, weather songs, patriotic songs, all of the morning routine. And then it will go into audiobooks and virtual tours. Chicago Mayor Lightfoot has been doing virtual tours of all of the museums. So I've been using a lot of her work, doing just like the history of Navy Pier, history of Morton Arboretum,
Very cool.
like to get them out, even though they can't get out.
And you got to keep them engaged and interested. And I know you said you had one student who wanted to talk like every day, right?
Yes. She does. She wants to call me every day. So I call her 3 times a week on most weeks.
That's great.
And she starts every day with rainbow song. So she wants to hear the Hawaiian version of Over the Rainbow.
Oh yeah, that's a great version. And I understand students have been removed from the classroom. They're missing their friends. They're missing their teachers. They often don't even understand what's going on. So what other difficulties do you feel like your students are facing during this time? So
lack of social engagement, lack of emotional engagement and emotional support, direct services, like we had talked before about how students with multiple disabilities, they need that high five, they need that hand under hand direction of how to do a task. So we have been teaching parents along with teaching them, the students remotely, this is how we do it in school. So it's been stressful, but it's been a learning process for all of us.
And how has the parents been, experiencing this? Can you share any feedback that you received from them?
So a lot of the feedback I'm getting is, thank you for making my child smile. On top of my lesson plans, one of my paraprofessionals in my classroom, she makes a video every single day to tell the students the date and the weather, and she emails that to them every day. And so they get that personal touch also. And so it's giving the parents and the children that personal touch. So we get a lot of thank yous, a lot of you made my child smile. I get videos sent to us from them doing their little tasks, and it's just wonderful.
Talk about that personal touch, getting back to being in the classroom. That's going to be probably tough on some of the kids also.
It is. That's still a work in progress. I've been on the Illinois State Board of Ed website along with my other colleagues. We've been on the Chicago Public Schools webinars and websites, and just trying to figure it out. 6 feet distance. CPS or CDC says, the Centers for Disease Control says, if you're health impaired, if you cannot take off your mask independently, so that's most of my students.
Yeah. So you're going to have to work on working around that.
Right.
Yeah, which is difficult.
Right.
And as far as the parents, you talked about the engagement of parents and how they're able to communicate with you and show you what their kids are doing. And it's always hard to think about silver linings during a tragic time like this. But do you feel like there are any for your parents?
For my parents, the silver lining has been open communication between us. They miss us as much as we miss them. So we do communicate a lot. I and my colleagues have been able to teach the parents, this is how we do it at school. We put like the container of blocks on the left or pegs, and then a pegboard on the right, and we move left to right. And this is how we teach them those skills. And so we're teaching the parents and families along with the students of how we set up, how we engage, how we do a first then model. First we do this, then we do this, and giving that positive reinforcement. Like I said, the young lady that wants to hear the rainbow song. Well, first we'll do this, then we get the rainbow song. Or if, that kind of feedback, and the parents get to hear how we positively encourage, keep going, good try, you got it, great job. All of those positive reinforcers that we're able to give every day at school, now we're giving remotely, and those kind of things.
And I know you just got back to the school. You did like a little tour.
Yes.
Yeah. And, how was that going back to the school, and the feeling of any anxiety about like being back there and walking through the hallways and thinking about when the kids do come back,
Lots of anxiety, I will tell you. I was like, I am a planner, so I want to know step by step, what do I do? What is required of me? What is required of our guests? So I was pre-planning even before we got there. And it was different to walk into our lobby, and it's totally different. It was different walking into the school. It was like lost in time. Everything is there from the beginning of March.
Yeah.
There was a snowman in my classroom. There was a Valentine's wreath that hadn't come down. So everything, like, time stopped.
Yeah, it really did.
I got teary-eyed. I have to tell you. Seeing the names on the lockers and those kind of things. These are my students, but they're my families. I've been there for 16 years now, so I've watched them grow up. I've watched families grow. So.
And when we were talking, you mentioned that initially you dropped out of high school because you didn't feel like you were getting the support that you needed. How do you feel like that influenced your life and your career path?
Very, very much so. So I was in high school and declared legally blind before the ADA Act. So my rural school assisted me as much as they knew how to assist me. I don't blame them at all, because there was no instruction and guidance before that. So they did what they could. They moved me to the front of the class and those kind of things. But this was back in the day of chalkboards, and I think whiteboards were just new. I'm old. I remember ditto machines in grade school. So, so as I dropped out of school and then got my GED, there were a little bit more accommodations. I was allowed 2 days to take the GED test. I was allotted more time. I was allotted a large print test. And so that was accessible to me. Passed it with flying colors and went on to not know what to do for 10 years. I had a doors counselor that was, go to ICRE Wood, which is the Illinois Center for Rehab and Education for people with vision loss in Illinois. And she's like, go there, they'll train you to, at that time, the big push was for the vending machine program. For federal and state buildings. And I just was like, I don't want to do a vending machine program. It wasn't my calling. And for 10 years, she pushed me to go there, go there, just see it. And so finally I went, and my eyes were open to possibilities that I didn't know were possible. The director at that time was totally blind. The dean of students was visually impaired and hearing impaired. The Braille instructor was totally blind. I saw people like me with an education, with a vocation, with a profession. And I was like, wow. So I went back to my small town and went to college with more confidence and knowing what supports I needed and what supports I could ask for. So I had a reader all through college. I had a CCTV. I had large print. I had just more supports than I could ever think were possible. It took 4.5 years to go through and get my bachelor's and become a learning behavioral specialist 1. And I didn't know what to do with that. I wanted to teach people that were like me, but found out that I could only teach people from 3 years old to 21 years old. And I thought, okay, where do I want to go? Well, all through college, I was dating a gentleman from Chicago and moved here. We got married and I got a job at the Lighthouse. Because while I was at Icree Wood, they made me a binder of like supports and agencies for people with vision loss. So I started at A and got to C by calling each one and saying, can I have a job? Can I have a job? And
you pushed it, you made your way. And
I pushed. I didn't even know there was a school at the Chicago Lighthouse when I called. And there were 2 openings in the school. And I said, wow. Okay, there's one
there
for me.
It was. Yes, that was your calling, waiting for you. That's fantastic. That's such a great story.
And I've been there 16 years. I love it. I love the school. I love the agency.
And thank you for what you do for those kids and those families.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They depend on you a lot, and other teachers like you. But you have a lot on your plate, as a teacher and a mom. So how do you disconnect from all this and the stresses of the day and, unwind yourself? What have you been doing, for yourself?
So my faith has played a big part. My church has been doing a lot of church online, and that has helped a lot. I have a wonderful church family that supports each and every one of us. As I mentioned, I married a man from Chicago, and now we have a large family here. He's the oldest of 6, so I think when we're all together, there's 30 of us. And my family has grown being here. I have a daughter in Southern Illinois who's a grown woman herself, and I have 2 young boys here. And so I've been their teacher. So now, other than being a special ed teacher, I'm now a preschool teacher and a first grade teacher. They've moved on to kindergarten and 2nd grade. So now I'll be doing those remote learning also. It's still up in the air. We don't know how learning.
You're getting to spend more time with them because you're not on the bus going back and forth to work.
Yes, my commute has decreased by 2 hours and 50 minutes, and that's the 10 minutes going to the coffee pot,
That's great. Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. You have so much to share. I know every time you and I are together, I just sit and talk your head off. So I always enjoy that, and I'm sure I could do that again today. But I really want to thank you, and I want to give you an opportunity to leave us with any final thoughts.
I just thank you for bringing us on and bringing the visually impaired and blind to the forefront. I just want to thank you for this platform. I love each and every week when you talk to different people who have different life experiences. And I just thank you for bringing that to the forefront.
You're welcome. It has been our pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And thank you for the OrCam. It's a game changer.
No, I'm glad you've been using it. Actually, I want to, maybe you want to tell people that the last thing is, it was something about shopping you said that was really interesting, because during this time of COVID-19, you mentioned with shopping how you're pointing at things rather than having to grab the item.
Right. So in the past, previous to OrCam, I have just a little hand magnifier that I wear. And I would have to grab an item, pull out the magnifier, bring it close to my face to read any fine print or anything like that, or see a price tag. During this time where you don't want to touch everything.
Right, yeah.
Definitely don't want to bring it towards your face.
Yeah.
It's been a blessing to have the OrCam where I can just point and click and have it take a picture and read it to me, and I don't have to physically handle so many things.
That's really great. That's great feedback. And we did talk about that last week. We were talking about some of the barriers here internationally, and that was one of them to shopping, was having to touch things, and people either kind of scold you for it or don't understand why you're touching it, or you just don't want to because it's a surface. So that's really great feedback, and it's great that OrCam has been useful for that.
Well, and I don't look visually impaired to most people, so they don't understand that I have a vision loss. In the community, you're blind or you're sighted. And so it's great to have that OrCam to equal out some of those.
Well, it's
barriers.
all assistive technology that's available today, and helping not only you, but students and, just as many people as possible.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Nikki.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Have a great day. Have a great summer and a great 4th.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
And that was great. Nikki's amazing. I could also talk to her all day.
Yeah, no, really. I can talk to her all day. I hold her up for way too long whenever I see her.
Let's see what people are saying. I think I saw something. Something I think from Stephanie and Andy. Andy wrote, thank you, Andy Fabino.
Yes, thank you
for bringing the show every Thursday. I love and miss you both. I'll still be talking to you. What are you talking about? Miss you.
Me too, Andy. I'll talk to you later.
Inclusivity. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
The inclusivity for all.
Yeah, I like that too. And Stephanie says, I enjoyed connecting with this community. It's nice being with people who get it. Also, I gained so many tips to add to my bag of tricks, and it's been great having people tune in from all over. Helps broaden my compassion, understanding, and joy. That's such nice feedback. Thank you, Stephanie, for joining us every week. Everyone who's joined us every week, we really want to thank everyone.
Yeah, and Stephanie wrote, Nikki's a rock star. She is.
She is a rock star. She really is.
And Robin said, Robin Whalen, thank you, Robin, and hope to talk with you soon too. In answer to your question, this has been a great series. Thank you. It has been wonderful, not only to hear different perspectives, but also to have that social interaction we've all been missing. Not only for you guys, but for me too. And indoors this whole time. I do the week seeing patients, but this is different. This I feel really, even though I really feel connected, and me and Dr. Grant as well have had a great time doing this show.
Yeah, same. Crystal Savage, I enjoyed both Dr. Grant and Dr. W. Great knowledge and help during this trying time with the blind and even us that can see. I also liked viewing other people's comments. And that was my favorite thing of the show, is the connection that occurs during the show. People are connecting and talking, and there's a chat room going on, and it's a social scene. And I really like seeing that after, when we're off. I like to go look back and see what everyone was talking about.
Well, that's the whole thing is about, I think what we wanted to say too, we were talking earlier, is that we still can stay connected to one another, and we really should, and that's important.
Yes.
We'll leave resources. I wanted to actually, if anyone wants to reach out, my email is Bryan, BRYAN .Wolynski, WOLYNSKI @ orcam.com. please reach out if you have any questions or concerns, or just to say hi.
Yes, that's great. And I also agree. I feel like everyone should stay connected with one another. Everyone is on Facebook connecting. So make sure you friend request each other and stay connected. And Julie Hall sent a comment. Can't wait to see what you guys do next. Sad that this is the final episode. So yeah, go ahead.
We're always in communication. There could be other platforms, and maybe not us, maybe different shows. We don't know, but we'll reach out there. Like I said, we're going to put some resources on there. Resources from the Chicago Lighthouse, resources from OrCam. OrCam has a blog as well on their website that has some interesting stuff, which I've written some as well on there. Yeah. And they also even have a tutorial page that's descriptive. If anyone wants to see more about OrCam, and maybe you can mention what Chicago Lighthouse has on there, Dr. Grant.
Yeah, Chicago Lighthouse is also a great resource. If you go on, you can either stay on our Facebook page. New announcements, new stories about our programs are always going to be coming out. You can also go to the chicagolighthouse.org. And there are so many, we have over 30 programs. There's a lot going on there, a lot of resources. Also, if you don't live in the area, I really encourage you to stay connected to either your local lighthouse or, and we're not all related. Everyone always asks that question. We're not all related, but we all have similar missions. So if you're, just look for your local lighthouse. If you're not sure if there's not one in your area, you can always reach out to either myself or Dr. Walensky. We will guide you to the right place so that you have people who are local connected, because there are tons of people out there doing similar work to Dr. Walensky and I. And I wanted to give my email address also. It's patricia.grant@chicagolighthouse.org. It's very long, but it's also should be very easy. patricia.grant@chicagolighthouse.org. And feel free to reach out at any time.
I always have to spell my email because my name has lots of Y's and I's. My own grandmother can't spell it right.
Yeah,
so.
I know. Everyone at the Lighthouse always put yours with an I at first, but we all know now.
But that's what it is. It's staying connected, adapting to things, and learning from each other. And that's what I think we've all done here. There are like Chicago Lighthouse, other low vision organizations out there, even the companies like that I work with, OrCam, we just want to all share in what we can all learn from each other and do. And I'm sure we'll all connect again.
Yes. Thank you to our audience members for tuning in every week. We really appreciate you putting that time aside with us. The quarantine and the pandemic was, life-changing, and we hope that we brought some information and some connection and made that time a little bit easier. We know we're not post-COVID at this time. We still need to worry about it. We don't know what's going to happen with the future, but things are shifting and changing, and we'll continue to talk and hopefully bring you something different in the future. But thank you to everyone who helped put the show together as well.
Sure. Thank you to all the listeners, and really everyone, stay safe out there. You really still need to stay safe. Where things are opening up, things are like changing. Like I said, we're in a transition, and hopefully everything is for the better in the latter half of 2020.
Yeah, so for sure.
Still maintain washing those hands, and remember, still don't. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.